الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Welcome back, sisters, to another session of teacher training program. So in the past few weeks, I have been observing the recording of the sisters. I asked you guys to send me the recordings of certain lessons, and then I have been taking some of the sisters to live classes, and some sisters have been giving the demonstration classes and so on. So yeah, I find some problems, some areas where you can improve, inshallah. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, that is how to use the English terms that the students understand. So we'll be giving you English terms. Okay, so terms are the words that we generally use um, for certain things. Like, for example, we'll go for the Tajweed part first, inshallah, and then we'll talk about the grammar and Arabic language. I have been sending you the videos, recorded videos of the live class of Arabic language, spoken Arabic. So there I explain the grammar. So you can watch those videos if you're looking for some the terminology that I use for explaining Arabic grammar, like nahu wa-sarf and stuff like that. How do I explain those things? So inshallah, if you watch those videos that I post, you will be learning a lot. Let's do the English terms today, bi'idhnillah. So there are certain words that I've observed sisters use, the teachers use when taking the tajweed classes, or تصحيح التلاوة تصحيح التلاوة. So what happens is the students are mostly from the English speaking countries, or the countries that do not speak Arabic as their mother tongue. So it's very difficult for them to understand what you're saying if you use the words like, so you got istidala, okay, and then you got isti'la. So they're kind of like they sound like it's the same thing in the beginning, so they kind of get confused between them. And then so you got itlabaq, so stuff like itlabaq and idlaq. So these kind of sound like similar. These sound, to a non-Arab, they sound like they're very similar to each other. They're confusing. Okay, so when you teach a student, when you're correcting their mistakes, the first thing to do is to check whether or not they have studied Tajweed. Okay, if they have studied Tajweed, they would have gone through these things, and they would have memorized what is istitala, what is isti'ala, what is itbaq, idlaq, infitah, everything. Okay, so that is the first point. First thing you have to see is whether they have completed Tajweed learning or not. If the student has not learned Tajweed and they're just memorizing Quran, trying to do the فقط Tajweed amali, not Tajweed nadari, okay? They're reading with the rules. They want to apply the rules, but they do not know the names of the rules. Like I think one of the sisters gave in Tajweed introduction in the last assignment. She said that if you read, Sister Anisa, I think, she said when you read with proper tajweed, but you do not know the names of the rules, then it's okay because you're reading it correct, you're not reading wrong. But if you know the names, it's preferred. So in hukum of learning tajweed, it said fard kifaya for those who do learn tajweed nadari, and fardul ayn for the tajweed amali part. So basically, this is what I'm talking about. There are many students out there who do not know the Arabic of it, and they kind of want to memorize the surahs first, okay, before going in depth into the tajweed. So what we want to do is, when we use these words, I want you to use the translation of these words, the terms in English, so that they understand. Istitala means prolonging. Lord, just don't say just prolonging, because prolonging is mad. So istitala, when you use the word istitala, prolonging Lord, so say like that, prolonging Lord a little bit. Okay, when you use the word istitala, or like when you're trying to say walallah, walallah, say to the student, when the student says waladallin, you say walallah. This is called istitala, and istitala is prolonging. And when you use Arabic, go a little bit slow. Don't say this is istitala, this is istitala. That is really difficult for them to hear what you're saying, because Arabic is not their mother tongue. It's like you hearing English spoken really fast. It's really difficult for you to understand the words spoken to you in English if a person says those words really fast. Okay? So you want to go a little bit slow for them to understand. Waladda, this is called istitala. Istitala means prolonging the sound of bod, like that. Okay, so they will understand. Okay, istitala is prolonging the sound. Okay, next isti'la. This comes a lot. Like for example, khalaqa, khalaqa. Okay, when you're teaching them, you say kha is isti'la, qaf is isti'la. They are not understanding isti'la. So when you say isti'la, use with it the English term. Use the English term. We call it heavy or heaviness. Okay, either say heaviness. This is the heavy letter, so call it heavy letter. Okay, it's easier for them to understand now. Okay, or these letters are heavy. The sound should come heavy, like kha, not kha. Okay, so compare and show like this. Let them understand what heavy means by giving them the correct one and the wrong one. Okay, when you teach a student to pronounce a particular letter in a proper way, following a particular sifa, you should give the correct one and the wrong one. Don't say kha. Kha is light. Kha has the quality of isti'la. It is a heavy letter. So say kha. But lam is light. This is the opposite of isti'la, which is al-istifal. Al-istifal. Okay, al-istifal is going to be light letter. So heavy letter and light letter. I'm going to just write this separately because I have Zoom has problems of orientation from left to right, right to left. Okay, so heavy letter is isti'la and light letter is istifal. Also, when you add al, it kind of confuses the students, and you might have heard me, I don't use with al, I just say isti'la and istifal. The reason is when you start everything with al, they kind of feel like everything is same, everything starts with al, and they're kind of confused. So I remove al because it would be like nakira, but it's the same word, istifalun or al-istifal. So I use just istifal to make it easier for them to concentrate just on the word and not to get confused because of al added there. Yeah, exactly, sister. So how I was gonna say this, you can say full mouth or empty mouth letter. So isti'la is full mouth. So basically, you kind of feel like your mouth is full when you say kha. It's like you have something in your mouth and then you're trying to speak. So you say kha. You don't say kha because that thing in your mouth will fall out. Also, you have like a full mouth effect. We call this full mouth effect. And this is empty mouth. This is empty mouth. Okay? Full mouth, isti'la letters. Istifal letters are empty mouth. Okay? Alright. Now, itbaq is like an extension of isti'la, right? Isti'la is just the back of the tongue going up and the middle forming a pit. For itbaq, it is the entire tongue trying to go toward the roof of the mouth. So what happens? This is called extra heavy or extra full mouth. Yani your mouth will be more full. Like, so compare kha and compare ta, ta. So you compare them and you say that for ta, the entire tongue goes up, whereas for kha, just the back of the tongue goes up. So compare with this. And especially the students have problem with seen, sad, ta, ta. Okay? So when they say like sirata, sirata, you say si is extra heavy. Sad has the quality of itbaq, which means it's extra heavy. It's not just heavy, it's extra heavy. So say si, not si. Okay? And ra has isti'la. It's heavy when there's a fatha on it. Okay, so use Arabic and immediately say the English so they understand what isti'la means. The more you repeat, the more they'll understand it. Okay, and then ta again has itbaq, which means it's an extra heavy letter. Say each of them like this, and so they will understand. Itbaq. Infitah is not extra heavy. So we generally do not use infitah to explain anything, right? So basically every letter has the quality of infitah except sadda. So we don't use it to correct the student's mistake. We just say it's a light letter, it's a heavy letter, or it's an empty mouth letter, or it's a full mouth letter. Okay? So when you use, we use isti'la. It's a letter of isti'la, which means it is a heavy letter. It is a letter of itbaq, which means it's an extra heavy letter. Okay? Or idlaq, we generally do not do idlaq, so I'm gonna just remove it. So idlaq letters are basically like, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on the makhraj. The letter just it's pronounced as if it's slipping out of the makhraj, like. So we generally do not use this word a lot when we do correct the mistakes. Now I am going to give you the translation of idlaq afterwards when we complete makharij and we do sifat, inshallah. We'll do sifat al-huruf as an assignment after makharij, and inshallah I'll give you a complete video of explanation of makharij and explanation of sifat, so you can kind of prepare yourself for the lessons using the points I gave or the way that I explained. Okay, all right. So let's see, start from the beginning. So like, for example, tabbat yada. So you want to say, no, not tabbat yada, say tabbat. But this little sound, this little air is called hums. Okay, so you're gonna say it's called hums, which means you pronounce it with a whisper or slightly air. So say little air. Okay, little air. Just a moment. Okay, there we go. So when you say the the slight air, use a little bit of air, we call it hums. Okay, so as you correct the mistakes of the student, you're gonna have to kind of use both Arabic and English. So say it has the quality of hums and which means you have to use a little bit of air when you pronounce this letter. Next. Okay. So there's the opposite of hams is jahr. Jahr is where you use the voice. Use the voice. Use the voice. Okay. So, for example, if someone says إذ قال وإذ قال, they say وإذ قال. Okay, for dal and sa only have one difference. The difference is dal has jahr and sa has hams. So if someone says وإذ قال for dal, you will stop them. You will say, no, it's not if qala. You're using the articulation point right. The tip of the tongue touches the tips of upper teeth, upper incisors. But for dal, you have to use the voice. You have to use the voice. Like this. So the sound kind of vibrates. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِذْ, not if. Okay, so show them the difference like this. If you're saying is, it is with a voice, with the vocal cords. You're using the voice, the vocal cords. Jim, jahr for jim, okay? And if you're using just the air, then it is hams. If qala, okay? So you're changing the letter from dal to tha. You're changing the letter. Use the voice. Don't use the air. Don't say وَإِذْ قَالَ. Say وَإِذْ قَالَ. وَإِذْ قَالَ. Okay? Very easy. Okay. Now let's start with shidda. Okay? So you got shidda. Now make sure you tell them this is not shadda. Shadda is the W-like sign, and shidda is the quality with kasra on sheen. This is a quality that says that, the letters sound cut. So the sound of the letter cuts. For example, you have ab. So the sound is cutting. I'm closing my lips, ab, and I'm opening b. So the sound is cutting. It's not in a flow like so it's not right. So like that, a bit. So when you say shidda, say the sound cuts. When you say shidda, say the sound cuts. And you got the opposite of shidda is rakhawa. So rakhawa is the sound runs. Okay, rakhawa is the sound runs. So this is something we use a lot to explain when the sifa of a sakin rakhawa letter is not given, like bismillah. You want bismillah, bis. You want to give proper time for the sound of rakhawa, for the sound to run. So when the student says bismillahi, say, no, don't say bismillah. Say bismillah. Give proper time to seen, because seen has rakhawa, which means the sound runs. So give it time to run, okay? Give seen proper time to run. Bismillah. All right? So that's one thing. And also another quality in seen is, can anybody tell me what's another quality in seen? Very common quality in seen. Naam. Somebody wrote, Sister Soha wrote hams. Yeah, we covered hams. But what is in seen that's not in other letters? Whisper, safir, ahsantum, mashallah, Sister Anisa. And Sister Anisa said it is Safir. Safir is the quality I'm looking for, because this is a quality which is not present in any other other letters except for the ones that are pronounced with this one makhraj. So tip of the tongue with the lower incisors. You got Safir, which means whisper. Safir, which means whisper. I'm going to just go ahead and write this separately again. So when you say Safir, not whisper, sorry, whistle. Somebody wrote, oh, Naam, other sister wrote whisper, so I kept writing whisper. A Safir is whistle. So say, like, whenever someone says Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, some people say like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Some people have a problem of pronouncing sin as tha. I used to pronounce sin as tha when I was young. I used to call myself Athia, not Asia, with sin. I never could pronounce sin properly. So yeah, this is something you have to give to the students who don't do the Safir part in sin. So you say like this part. So tell them to pronounce with Safir. The quality is called Safir, which means it should be slightly whistle-like sound, or say sharp sound. Okay, so when you say Safir, say whistle sound or sharp sound. Oh, for litha, we say litha is the gum, okay, in Arabic. So litha. So litha is the gums or the roots of teeth. So let's call it gums. So you can say the gum letters, the letters which are pronounced using a litha are gum letters, okay? But again, these students, I'm talking about the students who are not very good in the theory of Tajweed. They have not studied all these things. That is the reason we're using both Arabic and English, so that they understand well. I'm going to give you the English terms for the makharij also, because that is your upcoming project, inshallah, upcoming assignment. I'll give you makharij. Right now, I started with sifat because this is what we use a lot. Like we say, sirata. I gave you the example. People say sirata allazina, like that. So you have to correct this sad, it's itabaq, which means it is an extra heavy letter. C, so your tongue goes really up, like that. You have to explain each letter like that. But if you just say it has the quality of itabaq, C, they do not know what itabaq is. They probably did not even understand the word itabaq when you said it. Because you can read and understand Arabic, you know this word, it is in your vocabulary, it's not in the student's vocabulary, okay? So it's difficult for them to understand. And I have taught so many, like hundreds of students, alhamdulillah, so far, from the English speaking countries or from India even. And they have difficulty remembering the names, these names. So when you use the Arabic, you use English a little bit to translate what it means, okay? Give them the idea of what you want the student to do. Okay, and as you can see, most of my training was in English, so I can explain in English in a very good manner. And I know what is just important in Arabic, like the names of the attributes, sifat, asma'u sifat, yani, and but everything else I know in English, everything else. So yeah, I'm going to try and give you as much as I can, because yeah, these are not Arabic language students. Okay, for Arabic language students, we can start speaking in Arabic and they will start understanding us. For Quran students, they're already afraid. They're kind of like so much Arabic to read, like word by word. They find it very difficult. But when you يعني use a lot of Arabic, they kind of don't like it. And I think I talked about this in the first class itself, that many students have stopped taking classes from the teachers and requested to change the teacher because they cannot understand the teacher, since the teacher has been using a lot of Arabic words, and maybe even the accent was not clear enough. So it does not matter what accent you speak in, so long as you're clear, okay? So long as you are understandable. So if people can understand you, it's okay. So inshallah, we'll talk about the accent training. I will only personally give the accent training to the students, to the teachers whom I've selected in the end of the course, inshallah. But for now, I'm just going to give you the general class, general things, the areas where you can improve. Okay, so we got qalqala. So qalqala is, so some people call it echo. I like to call it bouncing. Okay, so qalqala is bouncing sound, like abe, abe. It's like yani, you can imagine a ball bouncing, like abe, ade, ako, like that. So it kind of people understand this better than echo. Echo is like something you would think like this thing, like echo comes more than one time, right? Yeah, shaking is also one of the translations, but I like bouncing better because bouncing kind of gives you the idea of like this, abe, ade, ako, ade, like that. So that kind of makes me feel like yani, the imagination accepts qalqala to be bouncing more than echo or shaking or moving sound, if that makes any sense. Pounding the ball. Pounding is a very loud sound. Like pounding is like when someone hits very loudly. So that would not be correct. Pouncing. Okay. Yeah. So that is qalqala. And what else do we got? A lean. So you got lean. Lean. Lean is soft. So lean is soft. So whenever someone says khairun, you will say no, not khair, khairun. So make it a soft sound, khairun, like that. So yeah, I guess what else did we miss? We did hams, jahar, shidda, rakhawa, tawassut. We missed tawassut. Okay. So let's just write التوسط يعني. You can either say التوسط or بينية. So whatever you're using for your student, use one word. Don't use both of them. Do not use two terms to confuse them. Use one term and stick to that term, okay? بينية. In القاعدة النورانية we got بينية, right? الحروف الشديدة and حروف الرخاوة and البينية, حروف البينية. So either ways, either you say توسط or بينية letters or يعني. So you would say half running and half cutting, so stopping sound. I'm going to make it slightly smaller so it fits the screen. Okay, so bayniya is half running, half stopping sound. Now, if you want to give this to your student, you have to be able to explain each of tawassut. again, I'm going to give you this in the assignment when we do the sifat, but for now, I think I'll just give you the translation. Anything else? همس جهر شدة رخاوة توسط استعلاء استفال إطباق انفتاح. We don't use انفتاح, so I did not give you that. إطلاق إسمات, we don't generally use a lot of that, but whenever we use, I'm going to give you that in the assignment again. Okay, then we did قلقلة لين صفير استطالة. There's التفشي. Okay, التفشي. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Okay. Tafashi. Tafashi is spray or spreading sound. So say spreading. Okay, spreading or spraying sound. So when you explain, like, sheen has the proper, like, mina shaytani, not mina shaytani, give proper time for sheen to be pronounced with the quality of tafashi, which means spray kind of sound, like shh, shh. The sound you hear when you spray water or something. So tafashi, istitala, lean. There are 7 qualities, right? قلقلة, صفير, lean, تفشي, استطالة. So there is لام and ra, انحراف, and so انحراف is deviation, and ra, it has takrir, which is, we use takrir a lot. So I'm going to write takrir here. So takrir is basically repeating sound. So you can say repeating or trilling. Trilling is the sound that that's like, this sound is called trilling. It's like the way you hear when a drill. Sister Anisa. So when the drill sound makes a sound, it's like this kind of sound when somebody drills. This sound is called takrir. So you call it trilling. Okay, so so the tongue is trilling on the makhraj. It's kind of a, you can say drill kind of sound. You can say the repeating ra more than one time. Okay, so when someone says Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, I'm sorry I'm saying that, but when a student says that, you would say no, don't say like that. This is takrir. You don't you should not do it more than one vibration. Just one vibration. Arra, not arr. Okay, inshallah we'll be talking about the English terms used in makharij explanation. So when we start giving the introduction to makharij, we talk about the parts of the mouth. Okay, aqsamul fam and things like that. We got parts of the mouth. When you start with it, you start with أولاً aqsamul lisan. Okay, so parts of the tongue. You call this aqsamul lisan. Sorry. Aqsamul lisan. Now, aqsamul lisan, you got. Can someone give me the Arabic ones? I will give you the English ones. I'm going to give you the unmuting privilege. You can, if you don't, because these videos are going to be recorded and posted on YouTube. You can either send a text message and I'll translate those things for you, okay? So, aqsam al-lisan, go on. Firstly, we have the back of the tongue. Okay, so back of the tongue is what? أقصى اللسان. أحسنت ما شاء الله. أقصى اللسان. Then وسط اللسان. Sorry, I have two English. I don't know why. أقصى اللسان, and then وسط اللسان would be وسط اللسان would be middle of the tongue. وسط اللسان, middle of the tongue. All right, and then you got طرف اللسان. Sorry. Okay, طرف اللسان, which is the edge of the tongue. Edge of the tongue. Then you got رأس اللسان, which is the tip of the tongue. رأس اللسان, which is the tip of the tongue. Tip of the tongue. And then lastly, you got حافة اللسان. حافة is the side. So حافة اللسان, side of the tongue. Okay, so these are the 5 things, and there is one more like حافتين إلى منتهى الطرف. So في الضاد في اللام basically we say إحدى حافتي اللسان. No, حافتي اللسان إلى منتهى طرفه, صح? So منتهى طرفه, so you try to explain it like with a diagram. Either you should have a tongue diagram with you, a picture of tongue, or you should draw it like this and explain like this from like this is the frontal part of frontal part of the side. So yeah, but those are the parts of the tongue, inshallah. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to send these to you. Next, we got the parts of the roof of the mouth or upper palate. So we have parts of the upper palate. Now we can just say palate. We can skip upper. We can say parts of the palate. Palate is the place where the tongue touches when you pronounce anything. So the roof of the mouth, the thing that is on the top. So we call it al-hanakul a'la. Al-hanakul a'la. Okay. Now we got first one is al-rikhu or al-hanakul lahmi. Al-lahmi. Okay, this is what we call the fleshy palate or the soft palate. Okay, the fleshy or soft palate. So al-hanakul azmi, sorry, al-hanakul azmi. Okay, so this is the bony palate, the bony or hard palate. Okay. And then you got مقدم الحنك, right? مقدم الحنك. So this one would be frontal part of the upper palate or the palate, frontal part of the palate. مقدم الحنك, frontal part of the palate. And then اللثة or latha, I don't know what you call it. I grew up calling it litha, which is the gums. That's it. These are the parts of the upper palate. These are the only parts, right? For Hasanan. What else do we have? We have the teeth. No. Okay, then you got the teeth. The teeth. Okay. Teeth is الأسنان. الأسنان. Okay, first one we have الثنايا العليا. So you got الثنايا العليا. الثنايا العليا, which are the upper incisors. Now, some people call it incisors, some call it incisors. So, the upper incisors. So, the two teeth, or actually 4 teeth that are in the front are called incisors. Incisors, basically. These are incisors, primary, and these 2 also incisors. I drew them really big, but they'll be a little bit smaller. So these 4 are called incisors, but these are called primary. Primary, yani first incisors, and these are secondary or secondary or second incisors. The ones in the front are primary incisors. Okay, so if a student asks you which incisors, primary or secondary, these are primary incisors. As-sanaya are the primary incisors. As-sanaya sufla, who can say this? As-sanaya sufla. How do you say this in English? As-sanaya sufla. So there we said upper, lower. Now, the lower incisors. The lower incisors. As-sanaya sufla, the lower incisors. Okay, and then there's al-dawahiq. Al-dawahiq are, no, al-dawahiq are, did I write dad? Dad, okay. Al-dawahiq are the teeth that you see until you laugh. Those are premolars. Premolars. Okay. Al-dawahiq are premolars. Now in English we have a different categorization of the teeth, but in Arabic we have different. Okay, I'll show you a picture and explain it to you, but right now I'm just writing, so let me write once and then I'll show you the picture. And then al-adras in al-adras. Adras are the premolars and molars, so let's call them the grinding teeth. Okay, the teeth that we use to grind the food, or premolars and molars. Now, I told you that dawahiq are also premolars and adras are also premolars and molars. So it's like this, like 2 of premolars are dawahiq, and the ones behind those, the 2 other are called adras, along with the 2 pairs of molars. I'll give you the explanation in a bit. And then you got the last one, the wisdom teeth. Okay, last ones are the wisdom teeth. Wisdom teeth. Okay. So these are all right from my memory. I am going to try and share I'm not sure. Okay, hold on. I have the kitab of مخارج الحروف العربية لشيخ Ayman Suwaid. So I'm gonna share that with you. All right. So in this book, the way I explain, and I'm going to share with you the entire explanation of makharij, the way I generally explain. But for these, let's try. I'm just going to say, and you should try and say it in English. So الثنايا العليا, these are the upper incisors, and then you got الرباعيات, these are the outer, the secondary incisors. Okay, and then al-aniyab are the canines. I forgot to give you these. Okay, these are the canines. Some people call it canines, but it's canines. Okay, an-niyab are the canines, the sharp teeth on either side. This and this. They're an-niyab canines. Okay, al-dawahik. These are the premolars. So I'm going to write PM here. I'm going to take black color, which is better. Okay, PM, premolar. So this is the first premolar, and this one also is the second premolar. So as you can see, al-dawahik are the first pair of premolars. This one and this one. These are the dawahik. And then from after the dawahik, you can see the second pair of premolars and two pairs of molars. These are molars. These are adras. These three are adras. And lastly, you got the wisdom teeth. Hasanan. We don't use this in Tajweed, so well, but you have to know the names of the teeth. Okay, so as you can see in English, it's according to the size. This one and this one are the same size, so they are premolars. Whereas if you observe, these are bigger teeth. So these are molars in English. The sharp teeth are aniyab, canines. The sharp teeth are canines. And then the flat ones in the front are incisors. Okay, so we call these incisors, and we call these canines, and we call the black ones this and this. The black ones, we call these premolars, and we call the blue ones molars. That is why one pair of premolars and two pairs of molars. You can call them grinding teeth because you use these teeth to grind the food. And this is the wisdom teeth. Okay. Somebody said something. Okay. There's something is confusing. It's about the definition of jawf. Some references say the space in the throat and mouth, and I found one says the place above the chest and under the neck, which is right. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna talk about that in a bit now. Okay, we did أقسام اللسان, أقصى اللسان, وسط اللسان, طرف اللسان, رأس اللسان, and then حافة. So أقصى الحافة, back of the side, أدنى الحافة, front of the side, منتهى الحافة, edge of the side. Okay, we call it edge of the side. This is corner or edge. And then we have al-hanakul a'la. You got this one is, okay, we call this uvula. I forgot to give you this. This is called uvula. And then al-rikhu is the fleshy palate, the bony palate, and the frontal part of the upper palate. Okay, and then you got, hold on. Al-litha. Oh, look, here it has got a shadda. Al-litha. Did you say like that without the shadda? Al-litha. Hasanan. I think I got it now. Okay, lastly we got, you said that, you know, the makharij when explaining jawf. So this is the first important thing that you talk about when you start makharij. So the basic makharij, al-makharij al-ra'isa, للحروف العربية for Arabic letters. So the basic makharij are 5 in number. So start with al-jawf. Al-jawf is هو تجويف الحلق والفم. Okay, so you said that some books say that it is above the chest and below the neck and stuff like that. Don't confuse yourself. I always use this book. This one by Sheikh Ayman Suwaid. This book is the go-to for me. So al-jawf, you can see the arrow in halq and fam, right? So this entire place, هو تجويف الحلق والفم. This is the definition of al-jawf, right? Alhamdulillah. So you say this is the empty space of the mouth and the throat. So I'm going to write it on the side here. So al-jawf is the empty space of the mouth and the throat. تجويف الحلق والفم, or فمي والحلق. Okay, so both the things. Next we have the second one is al-halq, which is the throat. Al-halq is the throat. Then, so that would be the second one. First one is al-jawf. I'm just going to give you this one and we'll stop, inshallah, today's lesson. So this was the first one, and this is the second one. Third is al-lisan, which is, everybody knows how to translate this. Al-lisan is tongue. Fourth is al-shafatan. Al-shafatan, which is the lips. This is 4. And fifth is al-khayshum. Khayshum, the nasal passage. You can say nasal passage, you can say nasal cavity. Sometimes I say this, sometimes I say that. So they understand the English words. Al-lisan, al-shafatan, al-khayshum. Okay, and when you explain, write the numbers like that, so they kind of, well, understand what's what. Okay, so al-jawf is the first one, so when they see this, they understand that this and this entire area is al-jawf. If you want, you can even color this entire area like this to make sure the student understands. This is al-jawf. And then when you're finished with that, remove it, because you got al-halq in different color. So this is al-halq from here to here, second. Third is al-lisan, this one. Fourth is al-shafatan. I wrote it really way up. So al-shafatan. And then fifth is al-khayshum. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Fifth is al-khayshum, which is here. Okay, very simple. And also don't explain a lot in one day. And explain one thing. In one day, just explain the parts of mouth. Okay, and ask them to memorize it. And the next day, explain to them just the basic, what does makhraj mean, lughatan, according to language, istilahan, according to subject. Okay, make it easy for them. According to language, makhraj is the place, exit. Makhraj is exit, from a place from where something goes out. We can also give the example, like for example, when I go out of the house, I use the door. So the door is my makhraj. When I go to a shopping mall, I see on the door written makhraj, which means exit. So I exit the mall from that particular door or the gate. Okay, so explain like this. So according to language Arabic, makhraj is exit, and according to the subject Tajweed, makhraj is a place from where the sound comes out, point of articulation of a letter. So inshallah, tell them that there are basic 5 makharij, and then these are divided into 17 makharij al-huruf 17. So there are 17 makharij. So these are divided into 17. Give them only this. Ask them to memorize this picture very well first. Once they do, in the next class, give them the divisions. So al-jawf is 1 makhraj, and 3 mad letters are pronounced using al-jawf. Al-halq is 3 makharij, 6 throat letters are pronounced using al-halq. Al-lisan is 10 makharij, 18 tongue letters are pronounced using al-lisan. Al-shafatan is 1 makharaj, sorry, 2, al-shafatan is 2 makharij, 4 letters, 4 lip letters are pronounced using al-shafatan. Al-khayshum is 1 makharaj, and you pronounce 2 gunna letters using al-khayshum. Just give that much and ask them to memorize. What do you do in the remaining time? In the remaining time, give them the surahs of Juz Amma to revise, okay? So do a little bit of tajweed, a little bit of surah in the class, and divide your time accordingly. We will stop here for now. So sister So has said, do we have to tell them how the scholars differ in the number of makharij? No, we don't have to tell them how the scholar differ in makharij, because that would be really confusing for the student. Stick to one sheikh, okay? Because at the end of the day, the sheikh who says this number of makharij and the sheikh who says this number of makharij, both of them pronounce every letter the same way. Both of them recite with the same tajweed in a particular riwayah. So we are not supposed to confuse the students, okay? So it would be very confusing for them. Stick to one thing. Even when we say bayniyah and tawassut, what did I say? Say one thing, either just to use bayniyah or just to use tawassut. Do not confuse them with two things, because it is a lot for the non-Arab students. Even for the Arabs, it's like a little bit difficult to understand these things. So فما بالك في يعني غير العرب. It's very difficult. So inshallah, we'll try to make it as easy as possible. As a teacher, it's our job to make it very easy for them. We will try as much as possible. يعني بعون الله بإذن الله. Okay. So if anybody has any questions, they can ask. Okay, I guess nobody has any question. So if you remember that you have any question later, you can text me in the group in Telegram, bi'idhnillah, or you can even text me separately. Okay. We'll stop here, bi'idhnillah. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's session and learned a lot from this. And I really hope you use this in your teaching, because the more you teach, the more reward I'll get. Like, imagine, like, I want this to be something that keeps on even when I am in my grave, bi'idhnillah, ya Rab. ربنا يتقبل يا رب. حسنا. We'll stop بإذن الله. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.